Hi, how you doing? You alright?
I'm good. How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
How are you spending your days?
Um, just trying to do as much as I can, really. Just going for my jogs, going for a lot of walks and stuff. Yeah, that's it, really. Nothing spectacular.
Have you got any bags set up or can you do any kind of boxing other than like shadow boxing and technique and different things?
Well, my dad's been helping me out a lot because obviously he does a little bit of pad work with me and things like that. But apart from that, nothing really. No, just. But
That's
I'm.
that's lucky that you have someone to do pads with you.
Yeah, my dad started. Well, I started boxing with my dad, so it's sort of we've got back into our routine again, which is nice. Yeah.
That's really cool. So yeah, so was it your dad that got you into boxing then when you started?
Yeah, it was my dad. So I started boxing at the age of 6, and
Wow.
my dad started training me just for sort of fitness and self-defense, really. And then he took me to a boxing club, and I was going to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and yeah, I haven't really stopped. I haven't stopped boxing since.
So at what point were you like, was it more for yourself and less about just being brought because your dad was gone? Can you remember a point?
Do you know what? I think at the beginning it was sort of a bit of fun, something different, and I think as time went on, I just sort of fell in love with the sport.
Hmm.
I think when I was probably around 9 years old, and then just sort of took it more seriously. And my dad took me to Repton Amateur Boxing Club then, and then yeah, it just started from there really. Yeah,
Do you think that he wanted you to fight? Or were you the one that was like, okay, I wanna fight someone there?
yeah, it was me. I was the one who was like, yeah, I wanna fight. I wanna get go.
so
Yeah,
so how long did it take that did that take to kick in?
it took from when I started at 6. It was just sort of learning and stuff, and then
Yeah.
I remember I sparred at the age of like 8, 9 with a little, and I got punched in the face, and it was quite weird because I remember like it was yesterday, and got punched straight in the face, right in the nose, and I started crying, like
Oh,
like tears started coming down my eyes, and my dad told me to come to him. He said, "Come here, come here." He said, "Don't ever cry again, don't ever cry again." And then from then, I just sort of toughened up a little bit, and then that's when I started taking boxing a lot more seriously for myself, more than my father.
it's very those kind of things that happen are very telling. They're very character building, because
Yes.
there's so many kids that do end up going to boxing or to a martial art or combat sport, and something like that happens, and they're like, I'm never going back there again. So it takes a lot of character at a young age to say, do you know what, I'm going to go back and face this person again or face the issue again.
Yeah. Um, Definitely, I feel like boxing is a sport where you can build your character, and
There we go.
I
Did
had
you
to
like
go.
sprint outside?
Yeah, I had to go outside. Yeah, because the signal's so bad, like indoors. So yeah,
That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
no worries. All good.
I'm well used to it though. I've been doing this for a couple of weeks now, so I'm used to all these technical glitches. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
So we were talking about obviously starting, being brought to the gym with your dad, and you wanted to fight and fighting and different things. Can you remember a point where you recognized that your coaches and the people around you recognized that you were good and that you had potential in the sport?
Okay, so I started boxing at Kingston Amateur Boxing Club with a man called Freddie Barr, and he was an old school coach. He drilled me, just taught like he drilled me, got it all in my head. Started with my footwork till like at first, and then started with the punching after. He's really old
Mm-hmm.
school, and then I noticed he started to spend a lot of time with me. So when he started spending a lot of time with me, I sort of in my head I was thinking, then if he's spending time with me, it must be for some reason. And then later on, a few years after, a man called Tim Ward started training at my gym. He used to train a boxer, a British fighter called Lenny Dawes, and he was a British champion. And he started telling me how good I was. He was more vocal with it, and
Mm.
he boosted my confidence up a lot. And then he was the one who told me, "Look, you're good. if you want to take this more seriously, go to Repton. And then I went to Repton, and then that was it. Like, I never turned back from there.
When you heard your coaches saying that to you, was it a shock, or did you have somewhat of a self-belief in yourself as well?
I've always believed in myself, but my dad's very, very passionate.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's very passionate, and he always used to drill it in my head. You're good, son, you're good. You're the boss. And yeah, and since then, it's just...
Does he still say that to you?
He still says it. He shouts when I'm fighting. He's like, you're the boss. You're the boss. He still shouts. Yeah, my dad's crazy when I fight. Yeah.
When you think about the winning, because obviously now as a professional, is it like 14 fights that you're undefeated in?
13.
13 fights.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I mean, it's a massive achievement for somebody that's so early on in their career. You know, obviously you've been boxing your entire life, but in terms of like being on the big stage and
Yes.
one of these kind of up and comers where people are like, oh, you know, you're keeping an eye on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it seems like it's been like an incredible journey for you.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. It's not been easy. I've had a lot, say early in my professional career, I had a lot of issues, sort of managerial issues, which I won't go too deep into, but yeah, and I had to sit out a few years of my professional career, and just at that time not being able to fight, just trying to learn my trade, sparring the best, trying to get as much experience as I can. And obviously when I got the opportunity for the big, I took it with both hands, and here I am now.
Was it hard at that time to stay focused and driven and to keep that self-belief in yourself that, you know, one day it will actually pay off, and the situation that you were in at the time, that wasn't going to last and better days were going to come?
Well, I'll be honest, I've always been motivated, and I'm a sort of man that if I want something, I'm going to get it. As long as it's realistic, I'm going to go get it. And so I always had that vision that if I got given the opportunity, I would take it. But of course, there was times where I felt like, what's happening? Like, where's my career going? But I stayed focused, and like I said, in my head, like, I made sure mentally it was, if I get this opportunity, I have to take it. There's no second chances here. Because in boxing, I don't believe in second chances. You get it right the first time.
Well, that's a big statement, you know. There'll be a few people that will hear that and be like, damn it, I blew it the first time, you know. Because we see it's so common, you know, especially with young fighters. And I think it's not just in boxing, it's something that I've seen time and time again, where a young pro, whether it's boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, whatever it is, and a big opportunity is put in front of them, and they kind of are just sidetracked with the promise of what can be, and they get themselves into situations with management or with contracts that maybe are not the best for them. And it seems like there's not a lot of advice or help for young fighters in how to kind of navigate the business.
Absolutely. I feel that when I turned professional, I was young. I've never been stupid, but I was naive. And I came from amateur boxing, because obviously with amateur boxing, it's not a business. You're just fighting every other week, fighting in tournaments for free. And I went into professional boxing thinking it was the same thing, but found out the hard way that it is a business, and there's not everyone's nice. So I know that a lot of fighters that are young, they're just naive and they just don't understand the business and who to associate themselves with.
Does the undefeated streak cause you worry when you go into a fight? Do you worry about losing that undefeated tag?
Not really. It doesn't really go into my mind. All I know is that I just have to go in there and do my job and do the best I can do, and the result will be what it is. But I never really think about it like that. No, I just go in and do me.
You seem very just you know, relaxed, humble, calm, you know, just taking everything in your strides.
Yeah.
4 titles, British, Commonwealth, European, International, WBO,
Yes.
like massive achievements. Which one or which of them was your highlight? Or are they all equal?
Uh, I think the time when I won the British title, reasons why is because I added the British to the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So with me sort of unifying both of them belts, it just made it a lot more special, especially just in 13 fights.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Commonwealth title, that meant a lot to me because of my heritage and stuff. Because my mum's Ghanaian and then my dad's Jamaican. So with the Commonwealth, it sort of captures all of them sort of countries,
Yeah.
which was nice. And my granddad passed away last year, so it was a nice belt to win for him as well. You know.
Did he get to see you win it?
He didn't know. He died a month before I boxed,
Oh.
but I promised him that I'd win the belt, and I delivered. So I was very happy.
He knows. Wherever he is,
Yeah,
he knows. He
he
knows.
does. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In terms of looking forward, I mean, obviously with everything that's going on at the moment, it's kind of put out a spanner in the works. We're now having to think about, you know, closed shows or, you know, fighting in TV studios and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we look at like when everything gets back to normal, what are the sort of goals that you have in place for yourself, or do you do goals? Is it just a case of I take the fight as they come, and if the opportunities are with it, great, or do you plan and set goals out for yourself?
Well, there was a time where I was sort of chasing fights because obviously I wanted title shots, and the people that had the titles, they didn't want to give me the opportunity. And I feel like, say, domestically, I'm in a position where I no longer need to call for people because I've got the belts. And like where I feel like I've cleared up domestically now, I kind of want to move on to sort of European level. And I know that's hard now because of the situation, but putting the situation what's going on aside, that's what I would like to do. Maybe fights. Well, I like fights like Rocky Fielding, Jamie Cox. Uh, Rocky Fielding, Jamie Cox. I like them fights. I like them fights a lot. Yeah.
Done. I'll have it done in the morning.
Yeah, I like them fights.
They're good fights there. They're good. I mean, especially with Rocky. I mean, come on, like who wouldn't want an opportunity to fight him, right?
Yeah. Do you know what? Rocky Fielding's a good fighter. Good champion. He was world champion as well, and I've got a lot of respect for him as a fighter. I don't know him personally, but he can fight, and I feel me and him together would be a great fight. A great fight for the fans, and not only for. I'm forgetting someone. Zach Parker. I would like
Oh yeah,
Zach Parker as
that's a
well.
good
Yeah.
fight. That's a good fight.
Yeah. Zach Parker as well.
Is it important for you now at this stage? You know, 13 fights in. Do you want to be tested? Do you want people to be able to say like, this is a really good fight. We don't know the outcome. It's a real 50-50 fight. Do you want that test now?
I would like to be tested, yeah, because I feel like my last few performances, I'll be beating my opponent very comfortably, and I get a bit too sloppy and complacent. And I want to go in the ring with a guy with a fear factor, like, oh, if I don't do this, then I could be in trouble here. So I definitely want a fight which I can really get up for.
When you do fight and you do get the win, at what point do you kind of acknowledge the win? Acknowledge the hard work that you've put in over the training camp and how well the fight went? Like, is it immediately afterwards, or is it the next day in the hotel? Is it, you know, when you're home, when you have the week off from the gym? Like, where does it kind of show up for you?
I kind of get that feeling on my last sharpen up pads before my fight, because it's like I put in all the hard work now. I've done all the runs, done all the strength, all the yoga, everything. Now it's time to execute. So obviously it's before I know that all that hard work's paid off, and it's going to pay off because I've put the work in, if that makes sense. Obviously after the fight, you sort of reflect. You're like, but I'm more after the fight. I'm more reflecting on while I'm eating. Like, I'll be like, because I've been dieting all them weeks. I'm just like, I couldn't do this last week. That's the only thing I'm thinking about.
So what are you eating? What are you eating after a fight?
Like pizza, KFC, Domino's. Obviously Domino's with pizza, KFC, Chinese. Yeah, I like all that.
All
Yeah.
in the one sitting, or are you spacing this
No,
out?
I spaced them out. Yeah, definitely spaced them out.
Okay, quick question. I will judge you on this answer.
Go on.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Hell no. Hell
What?
no. That's a fruit.
Yes, and it belongs on a pizza with pepperoni and everything else that goes on a pizza. Okay, thanks for your time, and we'll speak to you soon. That's cat. But what I was going to say to you. Oh yeah, another point that I wanted to ask you about was, how you're dealing with the, being in the spotlight.
To be honest, I just get on with it. It's nice that I can influence sort of like, kids, because they'll message me and say, "Oh, you're one of my favorite fighters. What can I do here and that?" And it's nice. I always message them back. It is nice, but at the same time, you got to stay humble.
Yeah.
And, I haven't made it. I'm just a normal guy, and even say God willing, I win a world title, I'm still a normal guy. I'm just Lerrone Richards. So you got to treat everyone the way you like to be treated.
I agree. Yeah, it's a really good quality to have.
Yes.
But you know what? I always ask it because I always wonder about, how people deal with going from just being a regular fighter that, is fighting on whether it's amateur or small holds, and then they're on Sky Sports and they're signed to Frank Warren or they're signed to Matchroom, and all of a sudden boxing fans know who you are. They take an interest not only in your boxing life but also your personal life and your social media. And with social media, you're so accessible for positive energy and also negative energy. And then with just the way that kind of the media works in terms of, I always remember the quote about Eubank Jr. about the sparring situation, and for so long then it's just brought up and it's repeated and you're asked about it. Yes. And I'm always very cognizant as someone who works in media that, you just don't want to be the person to do that. But also it's what the boxing fans want to hear.
Yes. About that Eubank situation, it wasn't me who said anything. It was Billy Joe Saunders. Otherwise, I would not have said nothing. But once it was out, everyone was asking me questions about it, and it did, it was quite a lot of attention. I did get quite a lot of attention from it, but at one stage it got a bit frustrating because it was like people were judging me off what happened with Eubanks, then judging me of what I can do in the ring myself. And now it's a bit different. I think I'm getting a little bit of respect from what I'm doing now, rather than what's happened in sparring.
Absolutely. So with that then, how would you like people to talk about you? When they mention your name, what would you want people to say about you?
You see that guy, that boxer, the one who wears the B shorts? He's a good fighter. He's a really good fighter. He's old school, he is. And he's a nice guy too.
Well, I think you've nailed that. I think they do say that already. Yeah. But where does the B team come from?
Muhammad Ali,
Ah.
Yeah. So float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yes.
And I think I do it very well. So I felt like it would suit.
Am I right in saying or thinking that Muhammad Ali would be maybe one of your inspirations?
He's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah. Obviously, he's got a good, tremendous story. Mm-hmm. He never had things easy, and he had a lot more things happen to him in life, and he had to bounce back from it. And yeah, he's definitely a guy that I watch a lot of, for sure.
What's important to you in life?
My family. My family. Just make sure my family's safe, and as long as my family's healthy and they're happy, then I'm happy. That's it.
Well, that's a very good answer.
Yeah.
I agree and I support that answer 100%. So while we were talking, everyone has an opportunity to send in questions into the question box. So I'm going to go in and check and see what everyone is asking.
All right, cool.
Straight off the bat, Karen has asked, if you could quarantine with 5 people, dead or alive, who are you picking? Can't be anyone you know. It can't be like family or friends. It has to be, it's fictional.
5 people.
Yeah.
Pernell Whitaker.
Yes.
Muhammad Ali. It's a good question.
It is.
Bruce Lee.
Ah, classic.
Yeah, definitely Bruce Lee. Denzel Washington.
Do you know what? Denzel Washington has come up quite a bit on this, because we ask this question every night.
He's
Lots
cool.
of people have included Denzel. Last person.
Last person. Whitney Houston.
Oh, yes. A classic.
Yeah.
Did not expect you to say Whitney Houston, but I'm happy you did. That's a good mix. Well, with that, David has asked, what's your favorite type of music? Leads on perfectly to after Whitney Houston.
I love, Whitney Houston. Old school. Whitney Houston, Al Green, Elvis Presley. I like all the old school singers. I love them.
Do you feel a little bit wiser than your age? Do you feel a little bit older than your age?
I don't know. A lot of people say that. It seems like I've got an old head on my shoulders, I guess.
Yes, that will come across.
Yes.
We'll say yes.
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay, let me just have a look and see if I can get one more. Sean 1992_8 has asked, favorite classic fight to watch back.
I would say James Toney, and when he was boxing, Mike McCallum.
Good voice. That's a good one to look back. Yeah. Okay, last question. When do we see? Emily has asked, what is one of your favorite boxing stories or memories that you can tell us about?
There's been a few. There has been a few. There's been a few. I think maybe my 4th professional fight when my granddad came to. That's one of my memories. Yeah, I suppose good memory because that was the only professional fight he got to see. So,
and what did he think?
He was happy. He was He's really happy. He just kept smiling. My granddad never spoke much. He only spoke when he had to. So like he's very observant, and so when he said something to me, I knew that he meant it. Otherwise, he wouldn't say it,
Yes.
you know. So
Yeah.
he was very.
And did he box as well?
No, he didn't. No,
Oh,
he
okay.
didn't. But
Wow.
he always used to talk about them Jamaican fighters, like Reza Ruddock. He used to talk about Reza. Yeah, yeah. He was funny, my granddad. Yeah, but mad. Yeah,
Well, that's a very nice story.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for taking the time. I appreciate it. That was
No
really good
worries.
fun. Thank you so
No,
much.
you take care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I will do, and you too. And hopefully, when all this blows over, I'll be in the UK. We'll do a proper interview. Hopefully, at one of your next fights.
Wicked. All right. Take care. Yeah.
See you,
Bye.
Lerrone.
Bye.
Take it
Bye.
easy. Bye.